all kicks off with a pretty wild story about a dragon warming a coffee cup. This is the theory of constrained capacities, and we're getting into it right now.
So, I want you to just mull this over for a second. What if the most valuable thing a country has, its people, its innovation, its creative spark, isn't actually missing? What if it's just trapped?
To really wrap our heads around this whole theory, we need a good metaphor, and this one is perfect. It's a really simple but powerful image, a magnificent, powerful dragon, and one single cup of coffee.
Okay, so picture this, a colossal, fire-breathing dragon. We're talking a symbol of immense, world-changing power. Now imagine all of that incredible raw energy is being used for one tiny, almost trivial task, to gently warm up a little cup of coffee. That, in a nutshell, is the exact problem this theory is trying to solve.
So what exactly is the theory of constrained capacities? Well, you can think of it as a framework for understanding why some nations, even when they seem to have all the right ingredients for success, just keep falling short of what they could really be.
The core idea here is really simple. Capacity isn't something you just don't have. A lot of the time it's already there, just lying dormant like a sleeping dragon. The real issue is the set of invisible chains holding it back.
Now, these chains come in four main types. You've got symbolic constraints. Think of those grand, flashy projects that look great but don't actually accomplish much. Then there are cultural constraints, that deep-seated resistance to new ideas, that we've always done it this way mindset. Bureaucratic constraints, that's the endless red tape that just grinds progress to a halt. And finally, psychological constraints, a sort of collective mindset that stops a nation from even dreaming bigger.
Okay, so what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's take a look at a few countries where these invisible chains are pulled incredibly tight, forcing their dragons to do little more than just warm coffee.
Let's start with Egypt. Here's a country that invests heavily in education, creating this huge pool of talent. But that potential gets chained up by a centralized bureaucracy that stifles innovation and a cultural conservatism that resists change. And the result? A massive brain drain. You have all these skilled professionals leaving because there's simply no room for their dragon to fly.
Now let's look at Iran, which is another really powerful example. Here you have a nation with a highly educated population and a massive pool of skilled professionals. The dragon is absolutely there, but it is severely chained.
This one number tells such a powerful story: 180,000. That is the estimated number of skilled professionals. We're talking doctors, engineers, scientists who left Iran in 2019 alone. It's one of the highest rates of brain drain on the entire planet.
And this quote from the source material just perfectly illustrates the consequence. It says the country's potential dissipates its energy in unproductive directions, tethered to diminished aspirations. The dragon's fire is just scattered, warming nothing of any real substance.
And this isn't some isolated problem. These chains just take different forms all over the globe. In South Africa, for example, you have vast human potential that is constrained by deep-rooted, widespread inequality.
In Pakistan, the energy of a massive youth population gets held back by systemic problems like weak governance.
And in the Philippines, it's often the entrenched political dynasties that prevent the nation's capacity from ever being truly mobilized. The pattern is clear, and it's global.
But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be this way. The chains can be broken. So how do you unlock the dragon? Well, let's look at some countries that have actually managed to do it. Singapore is such a great example. They achieved incredible success through a really clear, deliberate strategy. First, they continuously reformed their education system to foster critical thinking. Second, they built a government based on meritocracy, not who you know. And third, they made massive strategic investments in their own people. And this really shows the fundamental mindset shift that's at the heart of this whole theory. A constrained nation focuses on symbolic compliance and rigid control, but an unlocked nation, it embraces transformative innovation and flexibility. It is a completely different way of operating. South Korea gives us another fantastic model. They poured resources into research and development, built an economy based on knowledge, and fostered really strong partnerships between the public and private sectors, and all of it was supported by transparent governance. They didn't just find a dragon, they built an entire ecosystem for it to thrive in.
So ultimately, unleashing a nation's potential isn't about creating capacity from nothing. It's about forging the keys to unlock the chains that are already there.
And these right here, These are the keys: a real commitment to transparency to fight corruption, instituting meritocracy so the best ideas and the best people can rise to the top, creating inclusive policies that use everyone's talent, and fostering a culture of openness that actually embraces change and innovation.
Which brings us all the way back to our metaphor and this powerful final thought from the source material. The whole goal of all of this is to dismantle those invisible chains so that the dragon may rise not merely to warm a coffee cup, but to illuminate cities and empower societies.
And that leaves us with one final question to think about. This theory doesn't just apply to nations, it applies to organizations, to communities, and heck, even to ourselves. So take a look around. What potential is waiting to be unlocked right in front of you? Thanks for joining